There's an aspect of us, you can call it your inner child, you can call it your inner self, you can call it your wounded self, your
Yeah.
shadow. It's a part of us that we exiled, that we kept in the shadow, that is asking for our attention so that we can understand where we lost connection and how to reconnect. So
Yeah.
it's not that complicated. The healing begins right where you are in this now moment with exactly what is coming up.
Stephanie, I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited for this conversation.
When I first came across you, I found you on Instagram, and so much of the work that I talk about and what I share here on the show is about encouraging women to turn within for so many things that they're looking for in their lives. Like there's so much noise right now in the outside world about how to change the exterior, right? Like how to work on our health or change our skin or how to optimize our schedules and all these things. And I really think that it's so much simpler that when we can focus on stuff inside of us, the exterior automatically begins to settle into place or just be whatever it's going to be. And I found you, and there was a post that you shared where you were talking about this same concept. And you're like, nothing changes out there until we begin to change in here. So just, I want to say personally, thank you because it really spoke to me. And I don't see enough of that out in the world right now. And so for me, I wanted to have you on just personally because I wanted to have this conversation with you because it's like, oh, she's my person. And I'm just really excited to have you here. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate what you've just shared. It's kind of funny because when you said we try to change ourselves on the outside,
Yeah.
and that is definitely a paradigm that I grew up in because I grew up
Yeah.
in the States and in the modeling world and then TV, and it was all about appearance. But
Yeah.
then as I kind of grew on my spiritual path, I understand that the outside is also referred to as the external world. So
Yeah.
like the actual mess that many of us, it's a beautiful mess.
Yeah.
I mean, not so beautiful in many ways, but if we really want to change the outside world, like not just our outside of our
Yeah.
bodies, but really change the outside, it is about not changing, but transforming our
Yeah.
inner
That's exactly it.
worlds.
Let's start at the beginning so that for folks who don't know you, you are a
Contemplative
contemplative psychotherapist
psychotherapist.
and
Yeah.
an embodiment guide. And can you talk to us about where that started and what that is?
Well, as with many of as with many of us who are on this journey of healing, it began with my own story. It
Yeah.
began with my own, I would say, you know, complete crashing of my own life, finding myself in a position where I had everything that I thought that I needed to be happy, that I had
Yeah.
wanted, but I was deeply in despair and completely lost in alcohol and drugs and searching for something outside of myself, some type of perfection
Yeah.
that not only I didn't find, I thought I'd found it, and it was seemed to be, um, everything broke down. And that was in 2008. I was lost. And I mean, it's so weird to talk about it like that because I see it now as this incredible opportunity that I had to reconnect with myself.
Yeah.
But at the time, I thought I was having a lot of fun until
Yeah.
one day you wake up, you look in the mirror, and I couldn't just stand the person that I was that I was seeing in the mirror. I didn't recognize anyone. There was no spark in my eyes, and I didn't know who I was. And I didn't have that many mentors or guides. And Dr. Gabor Mate came to our house in New York City. He was a friend, and he was being interviewed for a documentary that my husband was producing. It was one of the first times I'd heard the word trauma, and to actually have a conversation with him in that moment really shifted the rest of my life. I would say I began the work. I
Yeah.
got sober, and then once I
Yeah.
got sober, I could do a deeper dive into how I got where I was and how I
Yep.
would find myself again. And so that led me
Wow.
to study contemplative psychotherapy with Bob Thurman and Dr. Joe Luizzo in New York City, a 3-year program where I learned meditation. All of the teachings were based off the teachings of Tibetan Buddhism. Yeah, that was where I learned to get still, to tune in, to slow down, and to listen. And actually, there was an intelligence within my body, and an intelligence more cosmic, and more, I would say, spiritual, that I had access to.
Yeah, yeah. I think that that moment that you had of looking at yourself in the mirror and not recognizing yourself is something that so many women can relate to. I know it's something that I have been through. And it's funny, even listening to you speak, Stephanie, because I know a little bit about your history. And you were at that time, like already had been practicing yoga, were you teaching yoga at that time? Were you a yoga
Yeah,
teacher
I
at that time?
taught since 2000. Yeah,
And
8
it's
years.
interesting because it's like, and I don't know if this was how you felt, but for me, when I first really got into yoga and I started getting into meditation, I thought, oh, here I am I'm on my way, right? Like, and it only had been that easy. And it really was. So I don't know, I've been practicing yoga since my oldest, I was pregnant with him. So it was 16 years ago. And I was teaching quickly after that. But really, it's just been within this past year or two that I've started to understand, like, oh, now I'm beginning
Yeah.
to learn and to begin. And so I'm wondering for you so much, like you had so much backstory too, that I've just heard you speak about before, but becoming a yoga teacher, you had been sort of introduced to some of these modalities, but it really wasn't then, it sounds like, until 2008. What was it then? Was there some type of rock bottom for you? Was it just having that moment of feeling like so disconnected for yourself? Like what really shifted for you?
I mean, what shifted for me was the first conversation that I had with Gabor, where he asked me just these really poignant questions, which is called compassionate inquiry. It's the type of therapy that I share now, that I learned through Gabor, but I've developed kind of as my own approach, because it's basically being in conversation with somebody who's completely present with you,
Yeah.
with whom you feel safe, and who sees beneath the layers. So
Yeah.
someone who has the capacity, and especially through screens, it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
about connection, and it's about somebody who's truly listening with a clear mind and an open heart. It's what we are designed to share. It's this heart connection. But we've been conditioned, and we have these beautiful minds, but I believe we've been so mind centric that we lost touch with the qualities of our senses
Yeah.
when we're open and receiving,
Yes.
giving and receiving with an open
Yes.
heart, which, when we're in this space now, time time disappears. It's all about the now moment, and that's presence. That's this place of empowerment. Nothing matters more than this moment that we have right now, and the
Yeah.
power that we have to choose to remain present despite the mind, despite
Hmm.
it's about, I think it's a choice. I could speak about it
Yeah.
for hours, so
No, I love
I'm
it. I
auto
love it.
censoring, but
Interesting because when you speak to certain people and you're one of those people, even when I just was witnessing you and didn't have the opportunity to talk with you, I'm like, oh, something feels different. I know exactly what you're talking about. And there are moments that I will sit in meditation with certain people, or even just with your own child in a certain moment, or you're witnessing something really beautiful that you feel yourself really embodied and present. And you're like, oh, this is different.
yeah,
This is what the human experience is supposed to feel like.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah. It's like you
exactly.
get those like tingles of your body. You're like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay, I'm
a
really here now.
remembrance.
A remembrance. Yeah.
When the soul is in the body. The soul has a power, a quiet power. It's that expanded state that we all have access to. It's that we
Yeah.
forgot, or we became so overlayered with so many other masks that we put on in order to feel safe or to belong or to be something other than who we are. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's about understanding that on a deeper level so that we can peel back the layers as a humanity, one by one, because I do the work. We can do this work in groups. People can listen to this and experience it. That's the magic as it unfolds.
Can you share a little bit then from, meeting with Gabor and you have this beautiful conversation and you start diving a little bit deeper into your own healing journey, we'll call it. At what point did you start Presence Embodied and what made you want to start Presence Embodied? And can you talk a little bit about what that is? Like, what does this practice look like now for you?
So I never had the intention to do this work. I was always a seeker. I always had a deep longing to be with other humans. I had a deep longing to love, to share, as we do,
Yeah.
humans. I love being in groups. I don't know. You could also say that Leo part of me because I have my ascendant is Leo. Like we like,
Yeah.
I like that. All of everything that has happened came through a spark of an idea. I'm going to just create that. I believe in having a vision, but the details they've unfolded in my life. The more I've let go of expectations,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's really
Mm-hmm.
liberating, isn't it? Because
Mm-hmm.
especially as moms, like we want to do the best. We have all of this programming to be more,
Yeah.
to be enough, to do more, to have more.
Mm-hmm.
To it's
Yeah.
exhausting, and it only until I realized, like I presence embodied. I literally had no idea what I was doing. It was in 2015. It was way before I'd even finished my contemplative psychotherapy. I had my degree. I was like, oh, I'm just going to create a brand because I listened to someone have it talk in 2015. Well, you should have a brand. I didn't even know what I was going to do.
Personal
I,
branding. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I like the sound of that. And now
Yeah.
I understand why I did that. And
Yeah.
only, oh my God, it's like, watch out for what you ask for. And also like dream big because
Yeah.
since I created it and since I read the surrender experiment by, the untethered soul guy,
Oh,
Michael
Michael
Singer.
Singer?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
surrender experiment I read in 2016, and that's
Mhm.
like you just say yes for a year to everything. Someone calls you, you want to do a podcast? Do you want to do this? So because I was in that year of yes, and to be honest, my life is a yes life. I mean, I have boundaries, but
Yeah.
come on, show me the way. Is every day I wake up, I say, show me the way today with a laugh now. But it took me because I'm a reformed control freak, letting go of the control of knowing it was brutal.
Oh, everything you said there, I was nodding my head. We have such different lived experiences, but I understand everything that you're saying, that feeling of you're like, I listen, always say this about myself and my husband. The poor guy has to come with me. Like I jump first and ask questions later. Anything in my life, I'm like, let's move to California. Let's do this. Let's start a podcast. I don't know if my brain just doesn't work how other people's do. And I think it's a blessing and a curse. But I agree with this idea of just being open to whatever may come, even if it's a failure. And I
Yeah.
think about it, and it sounds like maybe this is what you were doing with Presence Embodied is even with the work I'm doing now, like I have a very clear intention of like how I want to feel when I'm doing something. Like
Yeah.
this is the experience I want to experience. How it
Yeah.
transcends
Beautiful.
externally into the like what does that look like? I'm not that attached to whether it's a podcast or this like doesn't really matter to me, but I'm seeking that feeling. And it sounds maybe for you at Presence Embodied, you too were like I want to practice this. I want to live this and help other people do it. And I'm going to focus on that feeling and exchanging that feeling with other women.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well done. I mean, I think
Okay.
you're, no, because I have to say, my relationship they've is been one of my best teachers. And my husband dives into everything. He was the we have to go sailing and skiing and flying, anything that's this really expansive states. And I was the scared non-risk taker. And we've been together for 19 years. We met in Ibiza where we live now, and he was wild. And since we've been together, I feel like it's rubbed off on me, and I'm so grateful
Yeah.
for that. And that's one of
Yeah.
the perks of a long-term relationship is you have
Yeah.
the time to explore and learn from one another. I see us as on the outside as souls, like choosing, making these soul agreements with our partners. And sometimes you make agreements and then it's partners, it's time to go. I totally believe in that as well. But sometimes you have these life partners that it's like things happen and you just know, okay, this really sucks right now, but I know we're meant to be together. And that's so beautiful.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's so interesting that you just said that. And I was not planning on sharing about this now, but it's interesting hearing you say that my partner and I have been together. We will also be 19 in September years. And, we got together, we met, and we were engaged within 6 months. And there are many times I try to be like, I'm out. This isn't going to work for me. But I do think there is this like soul agreement. And it's so funny, Stephanie, because isn't even phased at all by it. He just like lets me go be my bird and like fly and do my thing. And he stays so grounded. And I think sometimes you're right, because we've been in that partnership for so long, there is a little bit more freedom there for me to explore certain things and to take on other parts of, I don't know, parts of myself that maybe I wouldn't have had I not been in that type of safe partnership,
Oh, yeah.
and was also very controlling and type A when even when we had our first two kids. And then over the past decade, that's just been like all washing off. And I really do think part of that is because of that partnership. It's just, I usually don't like to give him credit. So JP, if you're listening, I'm giving you a moment of like, yes, you are a good influence, I guess.
No, but credit
But
is good. It
yeah.
because it triggers, in which in a good way, the divine masculine. I learned
Mm,
because I
mm.
feel like, I mean, Ibiza is a land of empowered women. There's a lot of strong women here. It can be really daunting for men, apparently. So my male friends say. So when strong women honor their men, it gives them permission to also step into their divine masculine, because there is a part, often, I'm just generalizing, but with my man, he's Italian, so he had this machism about him, which really upset me for many years, was very confusing for me. And then with time, he softened so I could step into and more into my healthy female masculine. And he could also allow himself to soften. And it's beautiful to be in a long term partnership, but it's good to honor each other when it's due,
When
So
it's due. Yeah, I
yeah.
appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you're right. I can see that. Can you talk to us a little bit about, for those listening who might not be familiar with, I mean, I understand when you're talking about embodiment work. Can you talk to us a little bit, like, what does that mean? And for someone who's listening is like, what are they even talking about? What is embodiment? What does she mean?
For me, embodiment has been, very simply put, the process of stepping out of the stories, out of my mind, out of the narratives, which are knowing that the mind is based in the past and that we can redo the same stories, repeat the same patterns, the type of people that we attract in our life over and over and over again. Or we can choose to step out of the mind into the space of the heart, which requires a deep letting go of the mind controlling the situation and remembering the mind, we honor our mind, but that sense of safety that we got in the mind, from my understanding and the work I've done with Gabor, dates back to when we were a lot younger and more vulnerable, and never ever to blame our parents, but they weren't necessarily designed or ready to hold the amount of emotion that we were expressing, that I was expressing. I learned to hold it in, to push it down, and to disconnect in order to survive, because maybe there wasn't the space for my emotions to be expressed. Maybe there was a lot of chaos going on.
Yeah.
So if I would speak up, it wouldn't have been taken well. So I learned to be
Yeah.
quiet and to push it down. And I went up in my mind to live in a story. And most of that story, because I didn't have the capacity to see any other way, it was my fault. Somehow, whatever's going
Mm-hmm.
on, it's too much for us to believe that it's the fault of our parents. We don't have that cognition available, but we do understand that we have a part in it. And so generally because it happens because of something, because of us. It doesn't have to be true for everyone. This is my experience. But with this awareness, we have the ability to question when we're getting activated, what's coming up, what's the story behind it, what's the belief when we're
Right.
having this feeling, and to date it back, not to blame ever, but to understand that there's an aspect of us. You can call it your inner child, you can call it your inner self, you can call it your wounded self, your shadow. It's a part of us that we exiled, that we kept in the shadow, that is coming up now in our lives. It's so divinely designed, this process. It's just us that don't get it. It's like, oh
Yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
who could have
Yeah.
created this stuff?
Yes.
But
Yes.
then it's coming up now, not because it's who we are, but because it's a part of us that is asking for our attention. Because as long as we're reaching to the outside world for validation, or that we're enough, or that, we're safe, we're never going to be happy, because our worthiness is going to be contingent
Yeah.
upon circumstances that are out of our control.
Yeah.
So all of the work that I am engaged with is about reeling us back in, so that we can understand where we lost connection initially, and how to reconnect moment to moment with those parts as they're coming up. So it's not that complicated. The healing begins right where you are in this now moment with exactly what is coming up. So
Mm.
there's so many ideas. Where do I start? Where do I start? Start with the last time you got triggered and what came up. And going back a bit, recognizing what it is, where it came from. The trickiest part is we judge ourselves for
Oh
having those
yeah.
parts.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So the real trick, getting your foot in the door is what I call it, is when you become aware of those hiccups, and instead of blaming whatever it is, the outside world, to learn to see that happening again, own it, and have compassion for that part.
You explained that so beautifully. Thank you for taking the time to kind of walk us through that, because it is a big concept. I'm just imagining that some folks listening now, some women listening, I have a few women in my own life that I could think of in particular who may be push back on some of this and say, like, I didn't have trauma. I'm okay. What I'm hearing you speak, this is for anyone having a human experience, right? Whether the trauma is big or little, whatever happened to you, we've all had moments of disconnection from ourselves where something has happened and we've moved into our head, even if we aren't aware of it. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh yeah, I mean
Okay.
it's the human experience. But if there are some who don't agree or don't want to agree, there's probably a belief that's blocking that. There's this resistance to acknowledging it. Everybody, chooses when they want, or when, if they don't want to believe that, then that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm only sharing this because I think a lot of the women who are listening do want to do this work and are doing it, but I know they may have other people in their life that aren't understanding what they're working on, or like, I don't
Oh yeah.
understand. I know, and so there's already a little bit of resistance when you're trying to explain what you're working on or explain yourself. And it's funny, I've been meditating for quite a long time, and I have just it's a mindfulness practice, but compassionate meditation practice. But it is
Mm.
funny because there were parts when I first began that practice where I was like, now I should be a Zen woman and I will be peaceful and calm, right? And you have these like ideas of like who you're going to be. And especially like as motherhood continued to go on, I have many moments where I will still find myself, and not even daily, moment by hour, every hour. There'll be a moment I'll get up from a meditation bolster and something will happen and I will feel myself triggered. Now, I do feel like I'm responding in different ways, but I still find myself triggered. And I don't necessarily know that in this moment I have a solid embodiment practice, if you will. But hearing you speak and looking at your work has just helped me to better understand that like you can have a mindfulness practice. You can have a meditation practice, and being embodied and practicing this embodiment work is different. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable, and sharing about that sometimes you get up from the cushion and you feel triggered. But I'm
Oh,
curious, can I ask you a
almost
couple
like daily.
questions?
Yeah.
Just right now, can you tune into your body and
Yeah.
remember when was the last time that you got
Yeah.
triggered?
Yeah. I'd say even yesterday with the kids, it's usually around, look at me. I'm already jumping to tell you how I'm going to analyze this.
I
And
noticed.
yeah.
No,
I was
but
like, well, Stephanie,
okay,
let me
so
break this down for you.
just
Yeah.
before you break it down,
Yeah.
I understand there are a lot of reasons before your mind
Yeah.
wants to go in.
Yeah.
But when you
Yeah.
tune into your body, what was the emotion that was triggered?
Anger.
Do you mind just dropping in,
Yeah.
and can you
Yeah.
tap into the anger right
Mm-hmm.
now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where do you feel it in the
Mm-hmm.
body?
My belly. Yeah.
In your belly? Is it okay
Yeah.
to pause
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
tune in and put 100% of your focus onto your belly? And let me
Mm-hmm.
know if you see any colors or textures or images.
It's just a swirl. It's dark.
It's a swirl and it's dark. And if you drop in deeper to the swirl and you ask the anger what she's most angry about, what do you hear?
You're alone and unsupported.
That anger about feeling alone and unsupported, is it the first time that you felt that way? Or is
No,
that familiar?
it's familiar.
Yeah. How familiar is it? Can you just take a moment and go back in your life?
I mean, it goes back to early childhood,
Like
but
how
it's been
old?
uh, high school, teen years.
Do you mind just pausing for a minute and tuning in
Yeah.
to that part of
Yeah.
you? We'll just do a very short moment. If you can see yourself at that age in your teen years, young Catherine, when you're feeling that anger of feeling alone and unsupported, what is going on around you?
A lot of perfection, a lot of
Trying to
people
fit
holding it
in,
all together.
perfection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I apologize. I don't know that I'm even speaking the right things. I can feel myself going into my analytical mind, and I'm trying not
Well,
to.
you're doing perfect. Just we'll finish the process. Just
No.
if you could drop in right now next to Catherine when she was feeling that way, is there something that you would like to say to her from your adult self or from your higher self that she needed to hear when she was feeling that way?
Yeah, I think it would be that you're doing great and you're not alone. It's not just you who feels this way.
You're doing great, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not just you feeling this way,
Yeah.
and you're not alone. And can you feel what she feels inside of her body to hear that?
Warmth. I felt
Warmth.
warmth. Initial resistance, but warmth.
Yeah, I know it's not easy, and plus we're
No,
live right now.
I don't mind doing that at all. I mean, I feel like everyone here is used to me crying all the time and doing,
I'd
you
just
know,
like to ask you to, before we go back into the
yeah,
interview, can you make a commitment to this part of you? Thank her for coming today.
yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah. Wonderful.
It's funny how these threads that like consciously in my head, I know the story, right? And then it progressed into motherhood and being a stay-at-home mom and my partner traveling and me being alone with the kids and having anger there build up. And so the story has been fed for years and years. And it's interesting because consciously in my mind, I worked through all this. I have been to therapy. We've been to couples therapy. I now have a support system. Like physically, I've done all the things so that younger self no longer lives that way. And
Yeah.
yet she still lives in me. And so when you were speaking about this, I was like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about because
Yeah.
that girl comes with me everywhere. I mean, I get up from the meditation bolster, and if my kids are, if the moment the kitchen's out of control, I immediately feel like, must be perfect, get it together. This is not acceptable. And that feeling comes back. So thank you for modeling for us for a moment of just how some of this work is done.
Yeah. You're
I
welcome.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for allowing yourself to go so deep. I really appreciate you for dropping in, for
Yeah.
acknowledging, and for highlighting how multi-layered we are, because you can know
Oh,
so much. You can know your trauma, you could tell everybody about it, you know the story. But the truth is, the body doesn't lie. The body knows. The more I learn, the more I understand that I actually know nothing. And the more I can begin with this, like this freshness every day, it allows me to tap into this beautiful power that there is, because the mind is still, it still needs to be put in the place of the passenger, and the inner self is, all it wants is to come and to be seen, so that we can integrate and then lead from that place of curiosity and playfulness, like, wow, we have another day on this planet, this is
yes,
amazing.
yes, yes, yes. And I think just like what you said about like it being multi-layered, I think so much of like as women, like we want to hold it together. And for myself, like leading meditations, it's hard for me to be seen. Like, and also she yells at her kids. And I was like, I think we can be so complex and always being evolving and learning. Like I always think about this of like, just because I sat on my bolster and did my work yesterday, I still have to do it today. It's an
Yeah.
everyday because I'm still living this human experience and there's still more coming on. I don't know whether to call it trauma or whatever it is. There's more experiences that keep sending me up here every day. I may
Yeah.
have like be working with some of the stuff from the past, but there's also like I'm still living in this human world, and so it's a daily thing for all of us. And I see too often people in this field get to a point where they're like experts or they're lead, and you're like, okay, but we're all still students at heart. We're all still just practicing this.
I don't believe in
Um,
experts.
yeah,
I don't believe it.
ditto.
I don't. I mean, Gabor is 82, 81. He still gets flustered with his wife. I feel like the truth of this human journey is that we're constantly being humbled to remember that we chose every instance, every challenge. And yes, that's sometimes very a hard pill to swallow. But after those experiences, most of the people that I work with and through my own life say, oh, wow, I learned something I really needed to learn. And that showed me that. And when you're in the depths of it, of course, it's horrible. You want to die, or you near death. You have near death experiences. but every time we come back connected deeper with our essence and with our uniqueness. And
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
that's where our gifts are. And I can tell you,
Yes.
I'm remembering when I created Presence Embodied, I was like, okay, so now I have to get the gifts. Like, where do I buy the gifts?
Stephanie, wait, I know exactly what you're talking about. I too have had that same thought run through my mind. You
Give
are
me the
so
gifts.
funny. Yeah.
No, the
Yeah.
gifts, they come with your willingness to be vulnerable, to go into new spaces, and to take a risk. And that risk of being uncomfortable, the laziness that we've developed as human to be comfortable and think that everything
Oh,
comes to us, is the demise
agree.
of our humanity. Thinking
Oh,
that some podcast, okay, this is a podcast, but that we're going to get it from the outside.
yeah.
The real beef
Yeah.
is disconnected from all of this, of the technology, and going out on the field to cut the hay, to cook the chicken, I don't know, to do
Yeah, I
the
agree.
work.
Yeah.
We become too reliant on others to tell us what to do and how to do it. That's my opinion. And I was one of those people.
I couldn't agree more. And to be like good at things and to be doing it to perfect things. And, so much of like what I'm working on now is just like becoming a beginner at so many things again, becoming a beginner even in motherhood, looking at it like, how can I go at this with just fresh eyes and just experience it for the sake of experiencing it instead of trying to perfect it or accomplish something or achieve something, just like for the experience of it.
And another thing that we have this horrible trait as humans that is completely amplified through
Yeah.
the media, is comparing ourselves to others. Somehow we
Oh,
think that if we just talk like or dress like or say the same things or be near that person, that it's going to, like, we're going to be like that person, or we're also going to get what they get. It's such an illusion.
yeah.
And then when we
Yeah.
realize that we have so many gifts within us and within the acceptance of who we're here in this incarnation, it's like, it's sometimes I say to my friends, this is a joke. Like, he had a great sense of humor. Like, this is hysterical, actually. This is the funniest thing. The cosmic joke is that all of this was just designed for us to have a good time and
Yeah.
to meet ourselves, our shadow, through
Yeah.
everybody and every experience. And the more we hate our life and the more we're unwilling to see it as an opportunity for growth, the louder and louder it's going to get.
Oh,
And
Stephanie. Yeah.
unfortunately, there's a lot of craziness right now. And the more that I've learned to detach and hold a place of divine neutrality, instead of like, I hate him. No, I hate her. Like, he's wrong. She's wrong. It's like, come on, can we step into our empowered self and stop losing our energy?
I'm so glad you said that. I couldn't agree more. Can you, before I let you go, I just want this for any woman who's listening right now and feeling like she's a little bit stuck or a little disconnected from herself. Can you give us just a little like inspiration or a starting point of like, where does she begin? Where does one first start on this? I know you said the idea of like getting your foot in the door, but can you talk a little bit about for the woman who's listening, who's like, I hear you guys. What do you mean? Where do I begin on this? What am I doing here?
It's a practice. If she can begin, we can do it right now. Just pausing, tuning into your heart, and asking yourself three things, just the first things that come in, three things that you're grateful for in your life. It might be a person, a place, something beautiful. Just take a moment to feel that inside of your heart. And then taking it a level deeper, just taking a moment to map out the next 24 hours. Maybe the people you're going to see, the things you need to do. And as you do that, feel into what might come up for you as far as emotions, some anxiety, some nervousness, fear. maybe some beliefs about yourself that this is all too much, judgment for yourself or for others. Just notice, what are the patterns that you have in your life that might be holding you back? Just notice those. And then next step, 3 things, 3 qualities that you would like to embody today. Gentleness, clarity, patience, presence. Feel those inside of your body. Anchor them in. And then allow yourself to go through your day. And when you come back to sleep at night, remember this map of your day. Notice what you became aware of, how maybe and those qualities that you embodied assisted you. And just take a moment to, express compassion for yourself for being on this journey, how it feels to express love. No matter where you are, you're exactly where you need to begin this process. And this is a practice. So thank you. So that's what I would say. Begin with awareness. We have a gift. We'll finish with this. It's called our will.
Mm-hmm.
I like to refer to it as a gift of our divine self. We always have a possibility to choose. Often it requires us to slow down, to reel ourselves back in, to notice, instead of taking that, taking right, going towards something positive. You went, for me, it was many years alcohol, or it was alcohol. I would just go drink it.
Yeah.
When I would get stressed, I have a glass of wine. I kept myself gridlocked in a holding pattern. So sometimes it requires making little sacrifices
Yeah.
in order to be with the underlying pain. We always have a choice to go back. We make mistakes, we're human, but when we repeat them, it's when it's a good time to say, maybe there's something here. I need
Yeah.
some help.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say, is being willing to get really truthful with yourself, to acknowledge the part that we play, the part that I played, and to take responsibility for who we show up as.
No, that's so beautiful. First of all, I love that 3-minute practice that you just shared there. I really could feel myself envisioning my day and putting on those qualities and like how different that would feel. So thank you for offering that to everyone listening. It was such beautiful practice. And I agree with you so much of like the idea of like practicing some of this like free will and being able to also like hold ourselves accountable to like what part we're playing in some of this. And that
Yeah.
having, I always talk about this idea of having like this compassionate curiosity with ourselves. So like holding it not with judgment, not with shame, but like, can you be curious with yourself? Like, what is it that you're witnessing? And I think you're exactly right. And so if there are things and patterns, just beginning to notice them. Not that we have to like necessarily immediately do something or change or feel anything way about it, but just begin to notice it, I think is always that first step. I couldn't agree more. So thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that. If people listening want to get more of you, or like, I'd love to work with Stephanie, or I know you have a retreat coming up, are
Yeah.
there ways that people can work with you? Like, are you
Absolutely.
taking
Just
open
go on my
clients? Like,
website,
okay,
book a
great,
free discovery call. I
great.
love meeting new, beautiful souls and sharing this journey. And let's have a chat, and come to Ibiza, come visit. We have an amazing island here with the most beautiful opportunities and experiences, because it's through these experiences that we actually open to receive the all of the beauty of who we truly are. Sometimes it just requires like a change. The space, I want to say, the space.
I agree so much with that. Well, we will link all Stephanie's information in the show notes. And so be sure to like reach out to her if this piqued your interest. Stephanie, thank you so much. You have so much wisdom and so much grace about you. And you were one of the first guests I really felt like I was like, I'm right in your home in Ibiza with you. I'm sitting there crying on your couch with you. Like it was great.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Stephanie.